dream about it. Gotta find a way to do the things that make you feel the love. Gotta think about it, gotta dream about it.